Hey guys, so MOCs, my own creation, making your own model and doing your own stuff with it. This is something I've been kind of working off and on for a long time. That's not what I'm here to talk about. Making your own creations is awesome, but sometimes Lego pieces just aren't what you want in the moment. That's when an idea to me of kit bashing comes in. Now, what is kit bashing? Well, that's when you take two model kits and you smash them together to make something new and crazy. And you can use shampoo bottles and all kinds of crazy stuff. But how does kit bashing apply to Legos? Way back when the first Naboo Starfighter came out, they made it with a photon torpedo launcher. But back then they didn't have spring-loaded or clip-loaded missiles. What they did is they just told you to build this big old block with a red cone piece on the front. That was the torpedo launcher. But then, that being the case, you had this big old block hanging down on the underside of the Naboo Starfighter, and it looked ugly. So I wanted to put the stud right in the plastic. So my dad helped me, and he practiced on this one first by just putting the piece in a mounting bracket and just drilling a hole in there. And he was able to do the same thing with this one. Can I get it out and then put it back in without looking like an idiot? Okay, it's in there real good. I'm not going to pop that out. I got another one here. Look at that. And how that one worked is I just took a Dremel to it and I just carved it out and just glued a marble on top. I'll get another marble for this some other time, but yeah. Those are old. Those were made back in like 2000, maybe earlier. But I recently did a thing. Rock Raiders. You guys, anybody that knows Legos recognizes this piece, but what the heck did I do with it? Right? Rock Raiders are cool because you've got this weird canopy thing going on, and the canopy matches in with this bucket, but the canopy always never had anything in there, and I straight up added little thin sheets of plastic in here off of like right here. I just scraped the sticker off, and using an X-Acto knife and some good Gorilla Glue, I chopped up the pieces and I glued them in place, and then I used a painter pen to color it in all red. So let me cut to the footage of me actually doing these things, and then I'll see you guys on the review table, and we'll see how these work in some models, alright? Thanks. Okay, so I know this is sacrilege, what I'm probably about to do, but to me, Legos aren't just plastic toys. Legos make for doing really good, obviously, toy models, but like, my models are for like things in my story. I have stories behind all my models. And so one thing that I've always been willing to do is glue stuff to them and heavily modify them and different things. I've got it's a Mega Block, but I would have done this with a Lego piece. I carved out the base, the top, and then glued a marble in there so I could have like a hologram display thing. Well, here I've got a Rock Lord piece, and here I've got a lid off of some packaged fruit that I got from the food bank, but you know, you could get this from any place. This, I don't know what to do with this, so I'm just going to throw that away. I can get more if need be, but this here is what I want. So, problem with Rock Lord stuff is they got all these really cool grills. Look at that. Well, I'm sorry I offended the camera. Wow. I offended the camera. I'm sorry. I will endeavor to go faster. So, this is the first time I've done this, but I'm going to glue pieces of this plastic to the inside here. So, let me get this relatively straight, and alright, see? How long do I need it to be? I need it to be, okay. Alright. So, lay that in here like this. But first, hold on a second here. Let me nick that there. I'm gonna drag that across. Okay, so like for what I'm doing, it doesn't need to be perfect, but perfect would be nice. Okay, so now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my fresh bottle of Gorilla Glue, and I'm going to do just a little. Okay, that's a lot more than I was hoping to do. Oh boy. This stuff flows really easily, so be careful with it. That's actually exactly what I was hoping for. There's a little bit of space on either end, so it's not exactly perfect, but I'm okay with that. I'm gonna stop recording, and I'm gonna keep working on this, and then when it's all dry and done, I'll do some shots of it. Okay, so I'm gonna splice this together with the other one a little bit, but the glue has started to dry very nicely. Look at this. I'm not gonna jam it through, but you can see very obviously, and you might be able to tell even in the lighting, that there's still some like glue smudge around the edges, and there is a couple of little gaps, but that's not an issue. I don't mind that so much. I've already started on another piece. I'm gonna take that all the way through. Alright, you see that? And then line it back up again. You see on here? I'm gonna take my glue. Now this did actually, before it got to this point where it was nice and solid in here, I had to let it sit for at least a couple of days. And I'm sure I'm putting too much glue on there, and that's part of why it's having to sit longer. But once it sets and it stays in place, it ain't moving. I hope the TV is turned down enough. I apologize if you hear somebody in the background. Look at that. Okay, unfortunately, the way I'm squishing it around, it's starting to lift up on the corner, so I'm going to push that down and just stop touching it. Don't touch it. And I'm going to take this one right here. Now this is going to be the annoying part. Okay, that's not long enough to do it, but this one, if I start with a corner piece over here, oh, there we go. Okay, holding that in place and doing a little tick mark right along the edge here. Come on. So you can see I got kind of a little cut there. Make sure your cutting surfaces are places that you don't mind getting all marked up. Obviously, I've got all this damage to the surface here. I don't care too much. What's interesting is I've actually got enough excess glue that I'm going to try and... Oh. Oh. Okay. Look at that. Alright, I'm going to keep working on this. Okay, so the camera's over here. I'm going to try not to block it. But, yeah, this is the other one. I was able to put two of them together. I'm going to try and get more of these. But, look at this. It's all nice and dry right now. I glued these on earlier. They dried over the last few hours. And now, as you can see with this one, it's red. Because I was able to take this marker here and just... And again, I want to do the same thing on the outside. These ones are kind of hard to get into, so it's not too critical. Because also on the inside, you're gonna have easier space to work with, so you'll get the red from the inside. Alright, I'm gonna go and pause recording for right now. Okay, so I've done all the other edges, and now I'm gonna finish up with the inside right here. And we're gonna give the interior another go over. This one turned out a lot better than the first one I did, because I was able to... The main thing about doing these is taking your time. With this one, when I did it, I ended up with these little gaps in the edges, which I don't mind too much. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be, you know, there and effective. But this one, I took my time, and I didn't have nearly as many weird little gaps and whatnot. So I'm really proud of this one. Where am I? Yeah, okay, so these need to dry for a bit, because if I go spritzing and spraying on them too soon when this is wet, it's going to get all runny and nasty and ugly. So in a little bit, we're going to use some of this stuff, this glitter seal clean it. Now, I'm hoping there's actual glitter in the paint, but it's probably just straight up clear sealant, which isn't an issue, but I'm hoping I got glitter in there, because glitter all over this would be kind of cool looking. It really would. These things right here are the weights that I used. At one point, when this part was drying, it kind of curled up a little bit, and that wasn't good, right? So I did take these little weights. Now these weights, this maybe weighs like 4 or 5 ounces at that, and this is like maybe an ounce or half an ounce, whatever. And yes, this is the interior piece for a doorknob. And this is a little handle I got off of a cabinet cupboard thing. And yeah, I just put them right there and had this whole thing sitting over there overnight. So, touching this paint isn't really going to damage it too much. I'm not too worried about that. But, like, over time, futzing around with it is going to damage it and make it ugly and runny. So, clean that up again. Yeah, these are hard to get into also on the top here. But, again, you know, okay. Alright, is that better for the lighting? There we go. Can we see what's going on? Yeah, we can. Okay. Hi. So, I got my clear coat here. And I'm going to do it nice and slow. Now, normally I'd let these dry like this, but since they got that shape to them, now I gotta let those sit for like 24 hours. Alright. And this is the end. We get to see how it turns out and how it actually applies to a model. But first I want to show you that this is the companion piece. These aren't actually put together right now, but we can get a nice up-close view. You can see my fingers through the clear plastic. You can see on the underside, yeah, it's a little bit ugly, but this is the cleaner one. This is the cleaner one, and I know there's some surface smudges and different things. I like the way that looks, actually. I like the damage and the scratch marks and all that. It makes it look beat up and used a little bit, you know? And here is how it looks on a proper model. The model itself isn't important. We're looking at the cockpit right now, and hopefully you can still, yeah, you can see the pilot on the inside there, and let's go ahead and take him out. I don't know why, but for some reason, it just doesn't want to close down all the way. So, I got the stuff that I used back here. This is the material. Just get yourself some simple plastic from a store container. This is from Trader Joe's. The cantaloupe chunks. I got a can of clear sealer that was like maybe $10 at Walmart. Gorilla Glue, $10. The pen was a couple of dollars, and I like to use the calligraphy marker because it's a lighter ink. It's not as thick, it's not as dense, and that's how I was able to make sure that I was still able to see through. And then a simple X-Acto knife, and I buy replacement blades every once in a while. So, yeah. So, this was Colwen with a modified Rock Raiders canopy shell, and I hope you all enjoyed seeing me make this and seeing it put to use. So, thanks for watching.